what was it like doing your time in jail?
Like I said, I got my prison stories over at Unique Mecca Audio. I mean, it was hell. You know what I mean? I mean, you go to the shower and you gotta have a knife on you, and your homeboy gotta be standing outside the shower with his knife. You can't walk to the shower in shower shoes. You gotta put on your sneakers and boots just in case somebody jump out there. Then carry your shower slippers. When you go in, you take off your sneakers, put on your shower slippers. Your man is standing outside the joint, he got a knife on. It might be 2, 3 dudes holding you down when you're taking a shower. So that's why I tell the youth it ain't worth it to live like that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I got into it in Lewisburg. Got caught up in the riot, the crack law riot, over the same thing I'm talking about. The 100 to 1, crack law. They denied it back in 1995, October. And, we turned the jail upside down. I got into it with a couple of police and I wound up in ADX. That's where I was with Escobar's hitman, Rambo. You know what I mean? That's where Woody Harrelson's father is at. That's where Champ that started the MA was at. That's where Ray Luke Lassiter was at. That's where Matula Shakur was at. Welcome Home Matula. You know what I mean? That's where all the gangs was at. Larry Hoover. That's where they got Pistol Pete at now. King Blood. You know what I mean? That they put me in the big house, 23 hours a day lockdown for 5 years. You can't imagine what that was like. The day I walked in felt like the same day when I got on the bus to go out. I couldn't tell you what happened in the last 5 years because everything was like that shit, the Groundhog Day, where every day is the same day. The one, that show they had with the girl Drew Barrymore. Every day she woke up thought it was the same thing. That's what it was like for 5 years, man. So, and I couldn't read or write when I went there. So that's what really helped my sanity is that I've had to put some VCRs on the, VCR tapes on the TV. And I studied and got my GED, started taking psychology to find out, but when they read my paperwork and they looking and they see, like, oh, your brother got killed, he got shot 2 times in the head. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah. And I said, yeah, he got shot in the head. And they're like, well, you don't care? I said, of course I care. He said, yeah, but you have no emotion. I said, what emotion did you show for something that already happened that was inevitable? We ran the street, so it's inevitable that I either get rich, I die trying, or I wind up in prison. You know what I mean? And my brother wound up dying, so he died. And they like, yo, you're so cold about it. I said, nah, it's not that I'm cold about it, that's life. So I started taking psychology courses to find out why I was thinking in that manner. Because I noticed that everybody around me is looking like I'm supposed to feel a certain way about my brother getting killed, shot in the head twice. You know what I mean? This shit happens. You know what I mean? And I wanted to find out why I can sit here as a man and say, oh, my brother got shot in the head 2 times, shit happens. You know what I mean? So from that, I wanted to get 3,500 hours of psychological training. And that's why I'm out here now. I'm working with Credible Messages with King Tone and Clint Lacey. And, I'm trying to really save the youth so that they don't have to go through what I went through to experience what I went through. My YouTube channel gives them all of that.
You mentioned the Supermax. What's I'm sorry, I might have missed it, but what Supermax was this that you were in?
ADX, the worst one they got in the United States. That's where El Chapo's at right now. I was one of the first ones they put in there.
How bad does it mess with your psychology being in there? Because I've been seeing like a lot of stuff where it's like people like go crazy in there.
Yeah, I know one dude, I ain't gonna say no names. I know one dude that's a good friend of mine. You know what I mean? He got long dreads and, he defecate and he wipe his ass with his dreads and then start writing who he loved on the wall with his shit. You know what I mean? I've seen it all, man. It depends on the mentality. If you're gonna stare at the walls and try and go through the walls, you know what I mean? You're gonna go crazy. You know what I mean? You gotta think around the wall. You understand what I'm saying? You can't go through this wall because this wall is here for 5 years. So you can't say, I gotta get out. You know what I mean? Because, you gotta escape mentally. You know what I mean? You gotta, have your good thoughts, your bad thoughts, your memories. You know what I mean? I did a lot of reading. I learned to write, so I started doing a lot of writing. That's when I wrote my book. You know what I mean? That's when I wrote my book of Roar In Harlem that tell everything that you ask. You understand what I'm saying? I wrote this, started from ADX once I learned to read and write when I got my GED,
I want to take it back a little bit, man. Well, when you were in jail, I seen that you kind of warned Gene Deal about the whole Biggie situation. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, but it wasn't even so much warm. The bottom line is, man, I'm in there and I ain't gonna get too much in it, but we know everything going on in the prison because we are the shot callers from that era. We talking about 95. We got locked up in from 89 to 95. We were the trendsetters for that era, for the beginning of the hip hop era that came right after the Black Power with the Roots and, the Jungle Brothers, the Brand Nubian. When it started getting into the flossing and all of that, we was the beginning of that because they watched us floss. They watched the cars we rode to know who we are. So they locked up all the kings from all over the country, including California. So whatever is happening all over the country is being reported to the people that's on the inside because we were the kings and these are the soldiers coming up and we just got separated from the soldiers when this time took place. So, I got word what was going on and, I jeopardized everything by getting on the phone, even calling them and just told them, yo, vest up, nigga, because I couldn't talk. I just told them, yo, vest up. You know what I'm saying? Don't go to Cali, you know what it is. And whatever he did with the message after that, I don't know. So, just to clarify, I know Puffy was in Howard and throwing parties on Georgia Ave. I was down there in Southeast hustling in DC. You know what I mean? And the Puffy that I know is not like the Puffy I'm hearing about on the news, on social media. But I already know, like I said, you got 1 million subscribers, somebody gonna come at you. Oh, you're a white boy, whatever. You know what I mean? It could be anything. So that's just how it is. So, I hear all these things about Puff, but I don't know nothing about that. And that's why I tried to send word out to get to him because Puff used to send me pictures. He gave 2 of my children's mother's jobs working at Bad Boy when I first got locked up back in 95. And, you know what I mean? He was good to me. And, Biggie, good people. I used to go over to Brooklyn all the time because I, was raised over there on Schenectady. So I used to go over there to Murder Lab where he was at and all that. And I know him and I know Tupac. I didn't want none of that to happen to none of them. You know what I mean? That should have never happened.
When did you warn Gene Deal? Was it just a couple of days before Biggie was killed?
Yeah, it's before they even left to go to California. I told him, don't go to Cali. You know what I mean? Told him, don't go to Cali, nigga. You know what I mean? Vest up. He knew what that meant. That street talk. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people say this and that about Gene Deal, why he wasn't from the street. Gene Deal was deep on the street. He was a parole officer, but he handled us on the street. And, the way he handled it, he actually tried to help the brothers. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't trying to lock you up when you're on parole. He tried to keep you out there. He had knuckleheads that force a man hand, and he got to get what he deserved. At the end of the day, he's still working for the people. You know what I mean? But he never took information that we did and went back. He got a whole lot of information that I did and other people did that he could have got locked up. You know what I mean? But I reached out to him because I know that, he was one of us and he knew how to move. Because like I said, at the beginning of this interview, you don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. You understand what I'm saying? So, all that fall in place. But yeah, I gave him a warning. I mean, I don't want to get into it more than that. But I'm just saying, I don't want nobody to think about me, letting that be known that, I agree with everything that he's saying with Puffy, because that's not the Puffy I know. But I was gone, and I guess, whatever happened after that, I'm not the same man that went in 26 years ago. They still expect me to carry 2 pistols and run around wild selling cocaine. I'm not that man anymore. The Puffy I know was a good dude. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it. That's the way I continue to see it. Because he haven't done anything to cross me or cross anyone that I know. I'm just hearing a bunch of YouTube talk, and I already see YouTube. They're allowed to say anything because there's no consequences. But back in my days, you know what I mean? We had consequences. You know what I mean? We had consequences. Dudes get their head cut off. We go to the extreme.
Okay, and you mentioned Biggie, man. How'd you meet Biggie?
In Brooklyn, you know what I mean? He used to throw the little block parties and all that. And, back then, I drive to any neighborhood like I do now and, pull up and when there's a block party, whatever, you get out, you meet everybody. They knew my own Mecca audio. I had radio things on the radio ads about my club, on the radio. So, when I went over there, I met him like I met everybody else that was into the rap game. You know what I mean? Or was trying to come up in the rap game. Cause I was the hub and all of the rappers, was the spokes in the wheel and they needed me to keep it rolling with Club 2000 because that was the biggest showcase for them. Like Andre Harrell used to call and tell me, yo, I want you to, let this act get on stage for me. You know, I want to see if your people like him. Because if your people like him, I know everybody else gonna like him. And he'll break me off a couple of grand and pay me to let his artists go up there. And then when they get up there, he watch the audience, and the audience feel their song, he sign them. If he thought there was some bullshit and my audience booing him, then he already knew, because my audience gonna let him know, Club 2000, we gonna let you know in a minute. Get off the stage and bring the strippers in, you know?
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon, so hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.